Hello and welcome to Fort Mill Business Today, sponsored by the Fort Mill Economic Council. I'm your host, Patty Mercer, here in the Fort Mill History Museum with our very own LeAnne Burnett Morse, who many of you know by being familiar with the Fort Mill History Museum, but you have so much experience. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I am actually a newcomer here. I've been here 18 years. I came from Kentucky via Nashville after college, and my background is actually television for 26 years. So when I came here, I'd done a lot of writing for TV, and I decided I wanted to write do a little bit more book writing.
Yeah.
And that's how I got involved with the history community here in Fort Mill, because I was doing a book about the town.
Which we love.
Thank you.
By the way, it's a must read for anyone who lives in Fort Mill or is thinking about being in Fort Mill.
Well, I tell people, we came to Charlotte initially. It was a transfer. We didn't have a lot of choice. And if I had still been in Charlotte a couple years later, I don't believe I'd be here today. I would have gone back to Nashville. I used to tell people I-40 runs both ways. But we came down to Fort Mill, and we really found a home here. And the more I started looking into what was here and what had been here, I just fell in love with it. And we're able to, through the History Museum, preserve it, protect it, and present it to people who are newcomers like me and people who've been around here their whole lives like you.
Absolutely. And of course, York County is one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. And to know that you have like-minded citizens who love Fort Mill and choose to embrace the history, preserve the history, is very unique. I think it's fantastic that you wrote a book about it, because it really ignited for all of us an excitement to learn more and to know our history. The room that we're in right now, I see 1600, 1700. I mean, tell me what this represents.
Time marches around this room, starting over here at 1600 when the Catawba came down from Canada looking for a place to settle. The game reserves were depleted there. The winters were terrible. So they sent out some scouting parties to 3 different locations, and this one is the one that got the thumbs up. Choose wisely. So this, when you think about it that way, that's 400 years of history in this area. And to look at what's here and what has been here and things, I grew up with spring-made sheets.
Exactly.
Spring-made, washcloths and towels. And then for me to say, I'm sitting here where all this started and where it came from. Mm-hmm. There were just a lot of those things that you don't think of. You think a little town, what could it have? But the history is amazing for this place.
And as it has moved forward and still protected, and the original, those originally who did so much to develop the town of Fort Mill, how their roots still weave within the progress that we continue to make, the growth that we continue to make. Now, right. This location it's been really good in terms of creating walking tours.
Yes.
Yes.
It is. This house was initially on Main Street. There were some homes at the very top of Main Street, but around the 1930s, they needed this commercial space. So this house was picked up, turned around, and plopped down on Claiborne. Right, it was repurposed. But our location here, just off Main Street, gives us a unique perspective to be able to kind of help people interpret Main Street the way it was and the way it is. I was walking a few days ago at lunchtime. I was, you can follow your nose now because there are all these great restaurants. And there were so many people out, and they were going to lunch, and they were stopping in the shops, and it's so great. So when you're out there and you're looking for something to eat or something to buy, you might as well learn a little bit about the history of the buildings on Main Street, and so that's something we offer.
It's so great to have you connected with that beat. It's almost reminiscent of the old movies we see, of Main Street, Fort Mill on a Saturday afternoon or whatever. Right. Tell me about some of the things that you have in terms of new opportunities, new programs that are taking place at the Fort Mill History Museum.
Well, we've had a walking tour, and we have a brochure, and we've had this for about 2 years. And we had good research on some of the buildings, but some we didn't know too much about. Over these past couple of years since this came out, a lot more research has been done, and so we are replacing it. This is just a mock-up of the new brochure, and we go from about 24, 25 points of interest to 44.
Wow.
And so every building on Main Street now, we have the history of it.
Incredible.
But even more exciting than that is we are in a partnership now with the Roots and Recall website.
Okay.
And if you do any searching on Ancestry.com, you may run across Roots and Recall. Well, they're based in Rock Hill. What a resource. Right here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they have a program called This Building Has History, TBHH. And Old Town Rock Hill is already on the site, and we're their new town.
Well, congratulations to us.
Congratulations
and to
us.
you for making this connectivity.
Well,
fantastic.
We went to them and said, can we make it so that what you offer and what we offer connect?
Absolutely.
So starting in June, you're going to be seeing decals that look a bit like this in the windows of the Main Street businesses. And what happens if you run by, if you happen to have one of our brochures, which you can pick up a lot of the businesses, and they're usually in the kiosk in front of Hobos, you can come down and look, and anywhere on the map there will be a big red number like this, and you can look at the brochure and read about it, or you can scan this code with your phone.
Of course.
Welcome to the new millennium. And it will take you to the website where Fort Mill is listed, and it's, you can't get there right now, but when we roll it out in June, you'll be able to, and it will give you even more than what we can put in this brochure. It will give you pictures what's there now, pictures of what it used to look like, a lot more detail of what used to be there, and as we go along, we can add people's reminiscences. Some of the people who actually ran businesses on Main Street, the Ackermans at Ackerman Style Center. Those people can speak into that and share their personal photos, and we can change that as we go because it's the web.
And that ties into your passion for hearing from that person, the original business owner, who has so much knowledge and wealth of treasures and in terms of memories and things like that. Talk about an example of just bringing modern technology with preserving the past. You've got to have something pretty special planned for rolling this out.
We do, and in keeping with all of the revitalization that's going on Main Street, we are partnering with Southern Sugar, which is building number 3. If you happen to look at the brochure or scan the code, that's the old Center Theater. And we're going to be holding a rollout event there on June 13th. Probably going to run from about 5 to 8. It'll be a drop-in.
Okay.
And you can come in that night. There's no ticket or anything like that.
So it's open to everybody.
Well, what I think we're going to do is have people RSVP on our website so we can at least have an idea of how much food we need.
There is that.
But we want people to stop by, and you'll be able to spend some time there socializing, enjoying Southern Sugar, because it's a great place to spend some time.
Yes.
There will be a demonstration going on in the wine room of the website if you want to take a look. And then we'll have people placed up the street who will be out there helping if you want to go up and take the tour and walk up the street and have a look. We'll have some volunteers out there to help with that. We'll help you download a QR code reader to your phone if you need that.
Which is important.
It's important. And so we want people, there's no cost to anyone. This is an outreach to the community to say, come and learn about your downtown.
Yes, and I can imagine that is very good for existing merchants to, again, the Fort Mill Community Playhouse is on Main Street. You may be thinking about going to see a play, but have you really checked it out?
Have you really checked it out? We also, in the brochure expansion, we've expanded off a little bit onto Academy Street, a little bit onto Tom Hall Street. So we have a few more locations that weren't on the old brochure at all. Plus the information about a lot of those storefronts that were kind of grouped together before because we weren't really sure what was happening in each one, but now we have that information.
It's just amazing to me how so many things are coming together at the right time, especially at a time when so many new people are moving into our area, maybe to live here or maybe just to sample some of our restaurants. Fort Mill's downtown is becoming a destination location.
It is a destination location, and you can shop, you can do business. There are some realty offices, and you can get I get a great haircut on Main Street, and you can do all of those things. And it's a great place when you have out-of-towners come in to visit, to take them, because they're very impressed with what is historic, but now what is also modern in the same place.
We like that.
Yeah.
It takes creativity, and it also takes a heart to, it's not always easy to preserve the history, but it's so worth it, especially like the Center Theater. Just the stories of those who would pay, what, a nickel to see a matinee on a Saturday afternoon.
Well, and some of those boys from the 50s and 60s would pay to get in on Saturday, and they'd stay all day. And they'd watch Westerns one right after the other. If they didn't step outside, they just keep right on going.
This is so awesome. Thank you so much, LeAnne Burnett Morse, the Executive Director for the Fort Mill History Museum.
And thank you for coming and visiting with us here, because we're very glad to have you anytime.
Always so much to learn and be excited about as it relates to history.
Definitely.
And thank you for tuning in to this edition of Fort Mill Business Today, of course sponsored by the Fort Mill Economic Council. I'm your host, Patty Mercer. Until next time, bye-bye.